to get a hold of a prayer book. It might be challenging over there on the pew there. You have to get one handed over to you. And turn to Psalm 33. That's kind of in the middle of the prayer book, and I'll get to the page in a moment, page 626. Because we read this psalm at the first liturgy, 745. We read it at the 10:30 liturgy, but we tend to sing rather than read the psalm at this hour. And I want you to hear some of the words of this Psalm 33. And what you're going to look to actually is page 627, verse 18. And we're going to read this responsively by the half verse. Did you get that? Responsively by the half. That means I'm going to read verse 18 to the asterisk, half the verse, and then you will reply with the second half. And then I'll read the first half of 19, and we'll read 18 through 22. I know this is asking a lot. Behold, the eye of the Lord is upon those who fear him, to pluck their lives from death. Our soul waits for the Lord. Indeed, our heart rejoices in him. Let your loving kindness, O Lord, be upon us. Very strong affirmation of faith, of trust in God. And it uses even the word fear. The eye of the Lord is upon those who fear him. And this is the positive meaning of fear. To regard, to consider, to obey, to listen to trust. And all those other verses are reflecting what that means. To trust and rely on the Lord. And the eye of the Lord. It's like it's saying the Lord has your back. The Lord is watching out for you. He is your shield and your help. Very powerful statement about the Lord. And then we lay alongside this now the reading from Hebrews. And there the author is talking about people who feared the Lord, people who kept the faith, who listened to God, regarded God, who trusted God to be their shield, who listened to the promises of God. And it talks about Abraham first, and it goes through many other people in that chapter. And then toward the end, if you were wondering about those verses that were chopped out, those are just examples of other people who kept the faith. And it notes that all of these people were keeping the faith under difficult circumstances, in trying situations, in dangerous times. And then it says, all these died in faith, not having received what was promised. That's hard. All these have died in faith, not having received what was promised, but saw it as at a distance, desiring something better. So let's think about Abraham for just a moment, because we know his story pretty well. God called out to him and said, Abraham, I want you to fear me, so to speak. I want you to listen to me, walk with me. I will be your God. You will be my man. And we're going to create a nation. You will be the father of a great nation. You'll have many descendants. And you will be given a land. I'll give you a land. So that's that word, promised land. And Abraham responded, yes. And Abraham goes where God asks him to go, and he does what God asks him to do, and he seeks to be as faithful as he can as a human being. He has a few stumbles here and there. And as he gets older and older and older, he has no descendants. And he's still living in tents, wandering like a migrant through the land. And in Genesis chapter 15, God comes to him and says, Abraham, it's in a dream. Do not be afraid. I am your shield. Just like Psalm 33. I'm your shield. Your reward will be great. And God bless him, Abraham says, what are you going to give me? I'm too old for an heir. I'm wandering in this land. It's not happening. So God says, look at the sky. It was night. Count the stars if you can. So shall your descendants be. And then it says, Abraham believed. He trusted. But don't you ever feel that way? What? What are you going to do, God? When are you going to do something, God? What's going on, God? What about your promises? If we've suffered illness or harm, aren't you my shield? If we hear of ongoing violence again and again and again, whether it's from terrorists or domestic violence or just someone snapping, and we hear about people accumulating huge debts, trying to go to college and come out and they can't get jobs, and there's just so many things that trouble us. Did you take your eye off us, Lord? So Abraham is so human. What are you going to give me? When? And then one of his descendants, because he did have a son, and they did become a nation, though he did not see it happen. And out of this people came a man named Jesus. And he feared the Lord. You could not more perfectly love, honor, listen to God than to Jesus. And in his listening to God and obeying God and being the face of God to the people of Israel, he died in his faith, didn't he? It led him to the cross. And what did he say from the cross? Why have you forsaken me? Have you taken your eye from me? Have you decided not to be my shield and my help? I have put my trust in you, and I'm abandoned on a cross. And we see his humanity, and we recognize our humanity in him because we cry that out. Why are things as they are? Where are you? And so we hear today from Luke's gospel. And Luke is writing the gospel to tell this story and this testimony of Jesus to Christians who are living in the 70s, 80s. And as you probably heard preachers say before, that was a terrible time to be a Christian. They were being persecuted and hunted down and thrown into prison and thrown into fights with animals so that they could be torn apart. And Luke gives them these words from Jesus we heard today. Do not be afraid, little flock. How can he say that? Do not be afraid, little flock. It is your Father's good pleasure to give you his kingdom. And so you can be just sell what you have. They're going to take it from you anyway. Don't worry about it. Give as much as you can give to people. And it's like servants who are waiting for the master. And how blessed are those servants who wait. It's not a passive waiting, and it's not a waiting wringing their hands. Oh, when is the master coming back? Oh, what are we going to do? This is not good. No, they're going about what they've been asked to do. They're performing the duties They're fearing, obeying, listening. They're taking care of the household. They're taking care of their duties. They're being faithful. And so when we live in fearful times, Luke's giving us these words of Jesus to say, keep the faith. Be faithful. And listen what Jesus said, that for those who are found serving, keeping the faith, the master will come and he will put on a belt and he will kneel down and he will serve his people. That's the kind of God we have. Because Abraham did not die without a child. Jesus was, as the Psalm 33 says, plucked from death into a life we can't even imagine, the fullness of the being of God. And for now, we are to be like those who are waiting for their master to come. We are to be faithful in the things that are set before our eyes, to be servants in this household of faith, be servants in our homes, respond to the brokenness in our world, be agents of God's kingdom in every way we can.